The game we know as chess has a very long history. Its journey started in India. This was around the 6th century AD. The early game was called Chaturanga. This name means 4 divisions in Sanskrit. It represented the 4 parts of the Indian army. These were infantry, cavalry, elephants and chariots. A Raja or king led these forces on the board. Chaturanga was a game of strategy and warfare. It was played on an 8x8 board, like today. This ancient game was the true ancestor of modern chess. The pieces in Chaturanga had different powers. The Raja was the king. It moved 1 step in any direction. The Mantri, or counselor, was a weaker piece. It moved 1 step diagonally. The Ratha was the chariot. It moved like our modern rook, straight lines. The Gaja was the elephant. It moved 2 squares diagonally, jumping over the first square. The Ashva was the horse, moving like our knight. The Padati were foot soldiers, like our pawns. They moved 1 step forward. These pieces clearly showed the game's military roots. Every piece had a role in the battle. Chaturanga was more than just a game. It was a reflection of Indian society and military thinking. It taught players about tactics and planning. Some very early forms of Chaturanga might have used dice. This would decide which piece to move. This element of chance was later removed. The game became purely one of skill. This focus on intellect was crucial. It allowed chess to develop into the complex game it is today. The removal of dice marked a key step. It made strategy the most important part of the contest. From India, Chaturanga began its slow but steady journey. It spread to neighboring regions. Each culture that adopted the game often added its own small changes. This was natural. The game was adapting to new environments. However, the core idea remained. It was a contest between 2 minds, a battle fought on a checkered board. This Indian invention laid the foundation. It was the seed from which the mighty tree of chess would grow over many centuries. The world owes India a great debt for this creation. Chaturanga traveled from India to Persia. This likely happened through trade and cultural exchange. In Persia, the game became known as Shatranj. This occurred around the 7th century. The Persians embraced the game with great enthusiasm. It became a popular pastime among the nobility. They valued its intellectual challenge. The name chess itself comes from the Persian word shah, meaning king. Checkmate comes from shamat, meaning the king is helpless. These terms show the deep Persian influence on the game we play. The rules of Shatranj were similar to Chaturanga. However, there were some important differences. The Mantri became the Firzan, still a weak piece moving 1 square diagonally. The Gaja became the pill or fill, keeping its 2 square diagonal jump. This meant the game was often slower than modern chess. Pieces were less mobile. Endgames could be very long. Victory required patience and careful planning. Players had to think many moves ahead. The strategic depth was already apparent. The game was a serious mental contest. During the Islamic Golden Age, from the 8th to 13th centuries, Shatranj flourished. Arab scholars and intellectuals were fascinated by it. They wrote books about Shatranj. They studied its openings and tactics. Great players emerged, like Al-Adli and As-Suli. As-Suli was considered the strongest player of his time. His skill was legendary. These masters analyzed the game deeply. They also composed chess problems known as mansubat. These were puzzles that players had to solve. This showed a high level of theoretical understanding developing. From Persia and the Arab world, Shatranj spread further. It traveled across North Africa. It eventually reached Spain with the Moorish conquests. It also spread through the Byzantine Empire. The game was carried along trade routes. It was a cultural export of great value. The Islamic world preserved and developed chess. They passed it on to Europe. This period was vital. It acted as a bridge between ancient India and medieval Europe. The intellectual respect for the game grew. Chess arrived in Europe through several paths. One major route was through Moorish Spain. This started around the 10th century. Sicily and southern Italy were other entry points. This was due to Arab presence and trade. The Byzantine Empire also played a role in its transmission. Early European chess was essentially Shatranj. The rules were the same as those played in the Arab world. The game slowly gained popularity. It was especially favored by the nobility and clergy. It was seen as a sophisticated and intellectual pursuit. For several centuries, chess in Europe remained similar to Shatranj. It was a slow, strategic game. The pieces had their familiar, limited movements. The Firzan, queen, could only move 1 square diagonally. The Fil, bishop, could only move 2 squares diagonally, jumping. This meant that developing an attack took a long time. Games could last for many hours, even days. Despite this, chess became a symbol of status and intelligence. Kings and queens played it. Knights learned it as part of their education. The church sometimes viewed it with suspicion, but its spread continued. Then, around the end of the 15th century, a major revolution happened. This was mainly in Spain and Italy. The rules of chess changed dramatically. The most significant change was to the queen. The weak Firzan transformed into the most powerful piece on the board. It gained the ability to move any number of squares horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. The bishop also became stronger. It could now move any number of squares along a diagonal without jumping. Pawns were also given the option to move 2 squares on their first move. These new rules made the game much faster and more dynamic. This new version was sometimes called Mad Queen's Chess or Scacchi alla Rabbiosa in Italian. The queen's new power opened up many tactical possibilities. Attacks could be launched quickly. Checkmates could happen much earlier in the game. These changes were widely adopted across Europe. They formed the basis of the modern chess we play today. This transformation was perhaps the single most important development in the history of chess rules. It made the game more exciting. As modern chess took shape, unofficial champions began to emerge. In the 18th century, François-André Danican Philidor of France was very influential. He was a musician and a great chess player. Philidor emphasized the importance of pawn structure. He famously said, "Pawns are the soul of chess." He wrote a famous book on chess analysis. His ideas about strategy were ahead of their time. Other strong players like Labourdonnais and Staunton also made names for themselves in the 19th century. They pushed the understanding of the game forward. Their matches drew great public interest. The first official World Chess Championship match took place in 1886. Wilhelm Steinitz defeated Johannes Zukertort. Steinitz became the first official world champion. He also developed important theories about positional chess. He believed in accumulating small advantages. After Steinitz, a line of great champions followed. Emmanuel Lasker held the title for 27 years. José Raúl Capablanca was a brilliant natural talent. Alexander Alekhine was known for his dynamic attacking style. Each champion added to the rich theory and practice of chess. Their games are still studied today. Major international tournaments became important for chess development. The London 1851 tournament was one of the first. It brought together top players from Europe. Such events helped to standardize rules and promote the game. The Fédération Internationale des Échecs, FIDE, was founded in 1924. FIDE became the governing body of international chess. It organizes the World Championship cycle. This includes candidates tournaments to select a challenger for the champion. These events created a structured path to the top. They ensured that the strongest players competed for the highest honor. In the modern era, chess has become a truly global game. The Soviet Union dominated chess for much of the 20th century. Players like Botvinnik, Tal, Petrosian, Spassky and Karpov were world champions. Then came Bobby Fischer from the USA, who broke this dominance in 1972. His match with Spassky created huge worldwide interest. Computers have also profoundly impacted chess. Deep Blue's victory over me in 1997 was a milestone. Today, online chess platforms allow millions to play and learn. Chess continues to be a test of intellect, strategy, and willpower. Its journey from ancient India to the digital age is remarkable.